Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Tropic Trade Group, and this is your end of day market recap for Monday, July 14th. First thing I wanted to go over with you guys was this note that I posted earlier on Twitter, which I thought was really interesting. This is a note from Goldman Sachs via Bloomberg. Goldman traders see a rebound in momentum stocks. So basically what they're looking at here is, I guess they have their own momentum factor basket that they're using here, which is this the ticker that's listed right here. But you could basically see that returns and have gotten pretty extreme. And this just kind of categorizes a little bit about what we've been seeing so far in July, which is a lot of rotation out of some of the best performing areas of the market for the first half of this year, and a rotation into some of the underperforming areas, kind of as a little bit of a catch-up trade. Maybe the momentum names and some of the best performers got a bit expensive, and a rotation into some of the underowned underperforming type areas of the market. However, where this is important is basically what they're saying here is that that this has gotten pretty extreme, and the Thursday they got into an oversold territory in terms of short-term selling of those momentum names. And we kind of saw one of the things that I had talked about over the last couple of weeks is, that's not just tech. I started to see that in things like just anything that was kind of best performing in a particular sector. EQT was a name that jumped out to me too. That was a name that I was long about a week ago. And I saw selling in that name, and I'm like, hey, okay, I guess you could classify that as a better performing. It's had more momentum than some of the other names within the group and within the overall energy group, but that's a pretty good selling. So, I saw a lot of complaints too over the last couple of weeks about some breakouts not working. This is why, there was definite rotation out of those. And again, just to kind of look at that bigger picture, that is perfectly normal in a bull market. I'm sure you've heard this expression before, but the rotation is like the what do they say? It is the now I'm forgetting what the expression was, but it basically means that rotation in a bull market is just very healthy. It's a lifeblood or something like that of a bull market, where one sector performs and then another sector performs and then another sector performs, right? That's a very strong market. So again, if you're very complacent in the same names, it may have caused you a little bit of angst in the short term to see some of those names that have been performing very well for the first half underperform a little bit, or get rejected at the next leg higher. So that was the first thing that I wanted to cover. Let's next just talk about what performed well for the day. So I'm going to stop sharing here just a second, and then I'm going to reshare window, and here we go. And then I have to click one more time. So here we go for the day. One of the things that I thought was kind of interesting, I'll start off with kind of a negative first, is that the VIX was higher today, even though all the indices came back from red and outperformed for the day. And you could see that the best outperformers today were actually the small caps. Came on pretty strong today. They went from underperforming to outperforming by the end of the day. The micro cap ETF led, so felt like risk on today, up 1.1%. Cryptos had a strong day, even though they kind of gave back. You could see that the Bitcoin ETF was up 1.4% today, but was up about 2.8% to start the day. So yes, VIX actually, even though it declined from the open, still finished up 5%. I think that has to do with the economics that we're going to get tomorrow and on Wednesday. That's the CPI report. I'm just going to give you the expectations, and of course, I'll cover that tomorrow. But they are looking for a pretty high number. Again, for me, the most important thing is the month-over-month change. That is plus 0.3. Also, we'll hear about the core number too tomorrow. Reminder that the year-over-year number is just a compilation of the last 12 months. When they get the fresh data that comes tomorrow, they drop out the last month and they put in the new month. So you could basically just look at you could add up the last 11 months. Here, I'll show you really quick, and then we'll move on. And we'll go over some bigger and better things here. But again, I find some of this stuff a little bit interesting here. Let me make sure I'm resharing here. Right. So here's the CPI and what they're expecting for tomorrow. Again, this is why I think that the VIX was higher today and was didn't kind of get back. But here's the number that they're looking for. 0.3 is the estimates, and here's the year over year number. So when you look at this month over month number, and you add the last, so look at this column, sorry, look at this column here, and you add the last 12 months, you add up these little month, each month data point, you're going to get to that number, which is the year over year number, with the new number inserted in here. So that's why the year over year number to me never really matters that much. It's always the newest information that's most important, right? And that's the 0.3 that is what is expected for tomorrow. All right, let's just get back. I just want to bring up that the spreadsheet one more time here. And sorry to go back and forth here. Let's just do this. Because I wanted to talk a little bit about what performed well today. Uranium stocks, right? So there was these were all setting up very well. I had actually traded OKLO on Friday. I did not stay with it, but all of these uranium names were setting up pretty decently. Even before, I think the energy secretary tweeted out that they want to start to get more into building up the nuclear capabilities, as well as coal. It was another tweet that I saw out of there. So that was your best performer. I'm going to break down all the moves in the uranium stocks in just a minute, but I just wanted to go through some of the other areas. And I have to say this aerospace group just continues to outperform. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that I've been talking about the aerospace and defense group all year long. Your Rocket Labs, your HWM. I actually bought some HEICO last week, HEI. That's another strong earning names, but very good performance in some of the bigger caps like RTX and also the smaller caps too. And that's why the equally weighted ETF continues to outperform. Biotech has been doing pretty well too. That was up another 1.4%. Software came back a little bit today. That was your worst performing group last week, along with cyber stocks. So a little bit of a move back. Here's your crypto stocks. Crypto's not in that ETF, I believe. It's just stocks was up 1.9%, and energy stocks underperformed today. Silver miners gave back some of those gains that we saw from Friday, with silver making a big move. All right, let's dig into some of these charts. And again, I always go through the indices first, so just bear with me. I will get to single stocks. I just like to make sure we look at the big picture first, because I've got a couple things to say here about the indices. I've been talking about how, that's the 5-day moving average, and watching what happens here, and also watching this 20-day moving average, because we've been decently above. But however, we're entering earnings season. Now, something could happen tomorrow where things could change a little bit with the CPI report if it's way out of whack versus consensus. But ultimately, I would not be surprised if we actually go sideways with earnings season upon us. Sometimes that's what happens. And I know everybody wants a direction. What are we going to do? We're going to go higher? We're going to go lower? Well, we could just go sideways. So I would really watch for hints. Number one, around the 5-day moving average. And number two, watch the value area for the week, right? That is going to give us, that is usually why I use the 1-hour chart so much, is because I could sometimes see that direction form first out of that before you see it on the daily chart, right? Before it kind of really reveals itself. So the value area for the week is based on all of last week's activity, volume, price, and roughly one standard deviation around all that activity. 624.58. Notice that price did not close above there. So we made a really nice move, because we started all the way near the bottom of the value area for the week, and we climbed up here. So we've got some bumper room. So even if we come back and we visit the bottom of the value area for the week, it's still, I would say, we're still going sideways here in short term. Qs, let's just do the same exercise here. And I want to start with that daily chart first, but you can kind of see what's going on here. You got a little bit of a bearish RSI divergence. However, but this could be worked off over time. Right? And if this continues to correct correct over time rather than price, right, then that's not that bad. You just kind of have to be patient with what's going on here. And also note that there's plenty of opportunities when we look at individual names and sectors, right? So even though the overall market hasn't really been moving over the last week, there's certainly some outperforming and underperforming areas too. So here's where we are. We're right at the 5-day moving average. The highs basically are not last Friday, but the week prior to that, which was the Thursday. Remember, July 4th was a holiday weekend. But just to zoom this, see if I can do it this way. There we go. All right. So notice what happened here. We started right at the bottom of the value area this morning, and we had a heck of a rally today from the lows. Notice that we got out of the value area for the week, but we're kind of coming in and back checking. So I don't really like to put on any major trades here. I kind of like to wait, especially when we've got economics for tomorrow, just to look to see what the bigger cap names are doing, right? And then IWM, which also, like I said, outperformed today. We're just going to look at the 1 hour chart. That also remains inside the value area for the week, but it did hold. So we're kind of on the upper end of the range for all of these. And I think we've got to see what happens tomorrow with the data. But even with the data tomorrow, if it's not way out of line with consensus, I wouldn't be surprised if we go sideways, right? The market kind of likes to try to fool the most amount of people, and I think going sideways would kind of do that. But again, I think that that's quite normal for earnings season. Why? Because during earnings season, we're going to get a lot of new information. I'm sure, just like we've seen Delta outperform, Fastenal had a big day, but you're also going to see some misses in there too, and some downside. You know, every quarter we do this where we put together for members, we put together an earnings strength gap list, and a lot of times those end up being your best opportunities for the next quarter. All right, so that's the indices. Let's talk about the uranium stocks for a minute. All right, so that was your best performer. So here's the uranium ETF. Big move and just a little bit of consolidation, a little bit of a dip higher, and now reclaiming those moving averages. What I find pretty interesting is when you look at the components of this ETF. Now, this has been the case for a while with this URA ETF, is that CCJ is about 24% of the ETF, but you have a catch up in some of these other names. OKLO is about 5.5% of the ETF. SMR is about 5.3% of the ETF. Right. And then you also have, I think LEU is in here someplace. That's 4.3%. So I think overall this looks good. I'm going to start with the biggest weight because I got long this name earlier. This was in our TTG trading pulse midday update that I sent out on Substack. That's ttgtrading.substack.com to get involved in that. But I just like that this was, and again, keep in mind the strongest names typically don't dip that much, right? So this is a nice methodical move, check back to the 20-day moving average. And then we started to see a move. Like I said, on Friday, things were starting to set up. And I'm looking for new highs in the CCJ. And yeah, so I think this looks pretty good. The next strongest name has been LEU. Well, actually, the strongest name recently has been this LEU. This was the best performer on our watch list last week, on our member watch list that we provide on the weekends. So this was a heck of a move last week and up again today. I know the most popular name on social media seems to be OKLO, which had a great day today, up 11%, right? And also SMR had a really nice day today too. Both of these are coming into a little bit of short-term resistance. Watch this 42.88. That's the top of the July value area. And going back to OKLO, OKLO is going to have 65.74. Also, it hit a little bit of resistance. It hit the first level of resistance, which is this VPOC in here, right on the close today. So we'll see how that handles that. All right, one other name too that is more involved in mining. I don't know if there's a nuclear or uranium spin on this, but I have to say, these rare earth names have been doing pretty well, right? So this one is involved in rare earth and offshore drilling. So really nice move here, kind of came into that 20-day moving average, just has been digesting and looks like it wants higher. There's a VPOC up here at 848. Very nice move there for TMC. All right. What else did I wanted to go over? The natty gas names. This also was kind of a little bit of a different setup for me today. I noted that the downside VPOC had been taken out, which is an area of potential demand. Really nice move today, up 3.8%. Also EQT, which I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I thought was a little bit oversold in the short term. Look at it come back. So again, you may not think EQT is a momentum name, maybe a momentum factor type name, but I think it's been one of the strongest names in the energy group and had a really lovely move today. I'm just going to bring up my watch list and share this with you, and just so that you can kind of see what else I was looking at for today, or the over the weekend, I should say. Right. So I had, as you could see, I had a lot of nuclear names going in here because I just thought that they were setting up pretty well. But I also want to cover a little bit about what the aerospace did. Here's the nat gas name, nuclear, nuclear, nuclear. A couple other names too that I thought were interesting. Bu- 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 STX I want to go over as well, and just a couple other ones. So let me bring up next. Whoops. Oh, wrong button. Sorry. All right, so we're gonna go over aerospace next. Really strong here. XAR new highs. I mean, even though this group saw a little bit of, on the first of the month, a little bit of selling, but holy cow, this group is so strong. Rocket Labs, which I am long in the TTG trend portfolio, look at the break, another 10% for Rocket Labs. What a mover this thing has been. And then if we go up and down this group a little bit, Rocket Labs was the best performer, but saw some continuation in, this is RDW. I like this company. It will have to get through some resistance. Just another aerospace and satellite name. ASTS had a good day too. This is a name I tried last week. I actually got stopped out on the break of the 20-day moving average, but hey, sometimes it just is what it is. Sometimes you're just a little bit unlucky with a couple of these names. Um, what was another? I mentioned Heiko. I got long last week. Right, nice move back up. So I did not get stopped out in that one. That one I had a little bit more conviction in. HWM obviously has been very strong as well. This name's almost back out to new highs. And then RTX, also, your bigger cap name also closed at new highs today. And I have to say Boeing, maybe a little bit extended here, but Boeing has been doing very well as well. There's a couple other names I was going to go over with you from the watch lists, maybe NXT and STX, right? Sorry, NEXT. All right, nice continuation in this one. This is also related to nat gas. So again, like these commodity type, like even though um, the nuclear theme is a little bit different, still I still think the commodity areas of the market have been super strong. I did not go over Bitcoin, but a little bit. I mean, two gap ups. So I think backing and filling here would make a lot of sense. Maybe let the 5-day moving average catch up. I did sell my MSTR position, which I got long last week. Again, just a little bit too short-term extended for me, so I took some profits in MSTR. And then lastly, I can go over another 20 names here, but STX I really like. This is another one that's had along with Western Digital and in the group of Micron too. But I really like this retaking of the 5-day moving average and the trend here. So that's it for today, guys. Again, this is going to be, we're going to have a lot more events this week. I think earnings is going to take center stage. And then we'll kind of just see how it goes. But for now, I do have some exposure in the uranium group. Love how that acted, and love the setups coming into this week as well, and how well they worked out. Have a great night, guys. See you tomorrow.